Welcome to the podcast where two guys talk about stuff and drink coffee.
You can't handle the truth!
This is the Coffee with Phil and Jim podcast.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
And now for your listening enjoyment.
1. Welcome, listeners, to the Coffee with Phil and Jim podcast. I'm Phil, and I have with me my fun-loving BFF, Jimmy Nick. Say, Jimmy Nick.
Hi, hello there, Governor. I'm Michael King. Oh, this is Jimmy Nick. How you doing today, folks?
Hey, just a reminder to our listeners, question or comments can be coffeewithphilandjim@gmail.com. Search us up on YouTube, the Spreaker app, and Apple Podcast app at Coffee with Phil and Jim, and connect with us. You'll want to do that, guys. You want to subscribe also, because we will have giveaways. We're going to have special guests and all kinds of stuff. Matter of fact, this week, I got some new podcast swag, limited edition, the Coffee with Phil and Jim podcast mug, and so we're pretty excited about that.
It's a beauty, man. That is one beautiful looking cup. Right?
It's nice. I like it. Yeah. It's very, very simple too.
Yeah, it's very simple.
Good size.
Right size. Right.
So anyways, I wanted to let everybody know, just to make sure to subscribe, especially when you're on that YouTube app or YouTube.com. Hit subscribe, and then hit that little bell, and that will also get you alerts when our new podcasts go out. So, what's new, Jimmy Nick?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Looking forward to what's coming up anyway. What do we got? Oh, yeah, it's
Christmas.
Christmas is coming. That's what we're
Christmas.
looking forward to. Christmas this year. It ought to be pretty good. Thanksgiving was really wonderful.
Yeah, it was.
Wonderful holiday. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I had a good birthday this year too. It was really good. You know, the Lord has blessed me in a lot of ways.
Amen.
I mean, you get your children around you, and it's a good time. It's good times.
Yeah.
Times to be remembered.
Well, cool.
Those people are important to you. So, what have you been up to?
Oh,
Lord bless your life this week, today, last month, a year and a half ago.
a year and a half ago. Well, every day he actually does. But I got to tell you, I've been doing physical therapy for my surgeries. I had first back surgery first week of October. Got home re-herniated, even worse, and I was out for a month. So I'm doing physical therapy right now, and that's going good. Kind of getting back to my golf swing.
Yeah, the Lord bless me. I think it was, 1983, somewhere in there.
1983.
1983. I think that's about the last time I talked to him. Not really, but anyway.
That's a good year. That's good. That was the year.
That's the year he came and got me and brought me to him.
Really?
It was August of 1983. I was pushing 30 years old.
Hey, oddly enough, November 1983 is when I was born.
When you was born, isn't that a miracle?
That's right. Well,
just a miracle. Well, it's a miracle anytime any of us are born. So.
Yeah.
It's even a bigger miracle that we get saved. Christ was the biggest miracle we could ever have.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Our salvation, because we know what we really, truly deserve and what we have been blessed with. We need to take that blessing more seriously, don't you think so?
Well, I think so.
I mean, man, look what he did for us. He gave his life up for us. I mean, you talk about love. I mean, truly. I mean, that's amazing. When I've truly been blessed, considering the way I lived my life before, and even a lot afterwards, even,
Right.
I've rebelled against him, time and time again. And still he loves me. He's still there, still merciful, still grace. A whole lot of grace when it comes to me.
Yeah.
And he has loved me. I mean, he truly has. And I've been blessed.
I'm thankful for the mercy and grace he does give me. I wanted to share, I want to get right into this because I wanted to share something I found. I was digging through, I cleaned our basement, and was looking at stuff.
Mouse up here, did you?
No.
Dead rat?
We think there was one in the basement, but it wasn't there when we cleaned. But no, I found some stuff. We talk a lot about discipleship, and I found some writings in a notebook from back in the day that I think kind of works out for what we're talking about and maybe introduce into our next conversation.
Are these writings from like C.S. Lewis or something?
No, some far more spiritual and
Spurgeon.
yeah. No, Spurgeon has nothing on this guy.
This guy, huh?
I won't tell you who wrote it, but I will tell you that this I've had this probably since 2005, 4 or 5 maybe.
It's in the Maharishi Yogi, is it?
No,
Okay.
no, not at all. But we're talking about discipleship here, so.
Okay.
So here's what this writer writes here that I found that I took notes on. It says, to succeed, we must reverse the traditional approach to church growth, which has stifled virtually every true church. This tradition approach has enabled a culture of nominal Christianity. The system following is designed to promote a more capable and accountable disciple of Jesus Christ. Now, obviously, this is an introduction to some things to go over. Although it's not a curriculum, it's just hitting some high points. He goes on to say, it is imperative that benchmarks of growth are set so that the disciple is ensured all possible success as a multiplier themselves. These benchmarks are created naturally by the realization and duplication of each concept. At no time is the discipler to progress until this benchmark is met. This should be developed by a transparent recognition of the life of both discipler and disciple. And I think that's kind of what we left at in our next episode.
Yeah, I think so, but I think I figured out who wrote that. And it wasn't Jesse Duplantis.
So this, another part of this says here, there will be no multiplication unless we take those in whose lives we invest out to reach the lost. Sterility in our spiritual children may be traced to our lack of taking them with us long enough so that they reach out where they work and live into the lives of others. And of course all that kind of connects to what we talk about, discipleship and all that stuff, investing in someone's life, those type of things. So,
you know, I don't know. This seems to me like this all seems like something new, which it really shouldn't be. But it seems like we inherited this system. What we have now, as far as church, especially in America, I can't speak for other countries, but what we have here, and probably say the same thing in England too, is that we inherited this system, and we just plug into it. And we go on and on and on, and most people don't even question it. I didn't when I first got into it. I didn't question it.
yeah.
You know? I didn't know nothing about it. So this is the way they do it. This is the way it's supposed to be done. And so we've missed out. We've lost what was there, and we need to go back and regain that. And that comes back to the Acts 2:42 church. Now, this meeting, it shouldn't be something that you feel you have to do. It's something you want to do.
Yeah.
Just because you're involved in what's going on in the process. It becomes your life. You're looking forward to doing this. And not saying, oh, well, I got to go up there tonight. You know, everybody else is going to be there. You know, you want to be there. You want to be a part of it. You want to be a part of the ongoing system. If the church is really going to work, we're really going to go out there and do anything. I mean, it did start in the 242s there. It did start with them getting together and then, you know, devising what they was going to go out and do, and they went out and did it together.
Right.
You know, it just wasn't, you know, a long ranger approach, you know, or stopping somebody in the supermarket and, hey, you want to know Jesus? You know,
Yeah.
They got a little sluggy or something, you know.
Right.
Because the worst thing anybody could ever said to me, and it did, it made me mad when somebody would walk with me, hey, you know, if you died tonight, where do you think you'd go? You know,
Right.
Get in my face, you might find out, you know.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to start a conversation that way.
No.
Don't come up and start that. And then they'll start throwing a couple, you don't know nothing about the Bible. You're unsaved, you don't know nothing about it. And what you do know is wrong. You know? Right. You know, you basically don't really know anything. And then these people come up to you and they start throwing verses at you. What does that mean? You don't even know what they mean. You know, they're talking to a strange language that you don't,
Yeah, and
you
you're
don't
like,
understand. Like, and then they walk off, well, man, he was a tough one, you know. Nah,
yeah.
he came at me the wrong way, for one thing.
Yeah.
You know, like Pastor's been talking, it starts with a conversation.
Conversation, which leads to your relationships and all that stuff.
And then that builds. You know, everybody, everybody thinks like Apostle Paul hit town, on Friday night, and Sunday he was out of town, headed to the next town. He spent months and even years. Where was he in Corinth? Was he there 2 years or something like that?
Yeah.
He spent time there. He invested in that. And actually what he did in Corinth actually went out to other areas, didn't it? Didn't it actually spring forth out to other?
Yeah, and that's the whole thing is when you're not going door to door knocking.
Yeah.
You're not doing those things. What happens is you have a church, which is obviously not the facility, it's the people.
It's the people.
So you have this local church, these that are out there, and they're in commerce. They're going to Walmart, they're going to Target, they're going to these places. They're at work, and although work shouldn't be their life, their ministry, because we're all ministers of reconciliation. We're all ambassadors of Christ, God says, and so they get out to those ideals, and they're not developing these relationships to get them to Jesus. It's just developing relationships because they have common interests. They like to play golf, or they like these certain type of movies, and it doesn't go beyond that. Now, probably
it's an impersonal, scattergun approach.
Yeah.
Well, this one, let me try this guy over here. And what do you got?
Yeah.
And besides, you don't want to. You got too many other different groups knocking on your door anyway. Jehovah's and Mormons and everybody else coming by the house too. By then, somebody from a local church comes up, and you don't want to talk to them. I've been there. I mean, they would knock at the wrong time. I mean, he was on TV,
Yeah.
Come knocking on my door and want to talk about Jesus. What's that all about?
Right.
It's first down and 10 at the 5-yard line.
That's right. That's right. Well, one of the churches that I was a member of years ago, we would do that. We'd go door knocking and go to the apartments and all that stuff. But, 1 out of 500, you would have some kind of decent, experience. Other times, they're not going to answer. They're going, oh, I'm not interested. They're going to, I had this one guy, we went and knocked on the door, and he opened, and, and then it was kind of the same approach, like, hey, if you were to die today, and he was like, oh, I don't care. I'm in here worshiping Satan, and he slammed the door in my face. Yeah. You're like,
okay.
That stuff doesn't work. But what does work is you developing the relationships, you having those conversations with people, you're growing that, and where you're at. So the perfect opportunity is for those that you work with, that you're around, that you see. There is one. There's somebody that I've been trying to minister to for a few months now, just building a relationship. They know where I'm at, they know what I do, all that stuff. But I never make that a highlight of what we talk about. I'm getting to know this person, and so I'll talk to this person, and I see them almost weekly, if once, maybe sometimes twice a week, and getting into their life to the point where, the other day they had a family member that had some complications and stuff, and they were sharing it with me. So we just stopped and prayed. I said, "Can I pray for that?" We prayed, and I said, "I'll be praying for that family member." That develops those relationships. So I think you said you were married into this. I think a lot of churches, a lot of believers believe that's your first hit. Obviously you're going to get that, but today's society, today's culture, you got to get some people off their phones and stuff before too.
Yeah, but I also found out when I got talking to a lot of people I've talked to, there is really, I don't know where it's coming from, but there is really a hate for God out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people really mad about it. You bring it up, they say,
yeah.
And it's not. They're not mad at me for who Christ is. They're mad at me who the church is.
Yeah.
And that's sad. Now, if they want to be mad at me because of who Christ is, that's one thing. That's what it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
But when they're mad at you because of the way the church acts, then that's another thing.
Do you think a lot of people, just have a bad experience anyways because of a bad church experience, I guess?
Yeah, a lot of people have bad church experiences, but then again, you go in with a bad attitude. If your attitude isn't right either, Although there is bad experiences. I know my brother has had bad experiences because of the particular his late wife got involved with, and name it and claim it and all that kind of stuff, where, they're more interested in money than anything else. And so that's what they come away with. And then he also had the deal, he was in Vietnam. He's a Marine. He's in, for 3 years in the Marine Corps. He gets out and he goes to church up there in northwest Oklahoma City. By that time, he'd grown his hair out and a beard, and he went in there, and he was told straight up, your kind's not welcome here.
Wow.
Here, this man, he went fought in the war, and that's the way he was treated. And so, you can walk away with bad ideas just simply because of the way you look. I mean, they didn't know anything about him, but that's what happened.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's so sad that those situations happen.
Yeah, it's crazy. But we need to surrender it to the Lord.
Yeah.
And if we will get on the same page with Him, things can change.
Oh, yeah.
But we got to want it. I mean, it's got to be a desire for this. How do you get people to have a desire for it? And what do you do?
Man, that's a
$1 million question.
Yeah, it really is.
How do you get people to have a desire? You can get them to have an intellectual attachment, but how do you get them to have a desire for this? That's a hard thing, I wouldn't want to be a preacher. I mean, you get up here and you preach week after week and week after week. And people get up and go home like you never said anything half the time,
Yeah.
It's got to be crazy. It's got to drive you crazy. Especially you have the burning desire to see this work like it should. Mm-hmm. That's got to be hard. It's going to be hard to do. I wouldn't want that responsibility.
It gets frustrating because, you have a heart for this, you kind of get a glimpse of what it should be like. But it's like fighting against a current when you're in ministry, when you're doing ministry. It gets difficult because, somebody a long time ago, I don't remember how long, but once told me, ministry would be easy without people, but ministry is people.
Yeah.
And so you're dealing with people, you're dealing with all kinds of different people, and if you keep this idea of the discipleship mentality, if you're training somebody, they're not going to be the same as you.
Right.
They're going to have different likes, different dislikes, all that stuff. But I think so many people judge that type of relationship based upon likes and don't likes. But when you're investing in somebody's life, that does take a lot of time. It does take a lot of effort. It's got to be intimate and intentional, and it's got to come all the way back to Christ all the time. And you're always coaching and doing that stuff. But there's a time too where if they don't want it, then they don't want it.
They don't want it. I mean, because of what's your motive for being there?
Yeah.
I mean, why do people come to church if they don't want to be into this 100%?
Yeah.
This isn't an extra activity that you add onto your life. This is the life, and you're going to answer for this someday. You're going to stand. We're all going to stand before Him and give Him an account, and we better start taking this seriously. Well, He loves. He's going to look. No, He's not going to look any other way. He's got this set one way, and that's the way it works.
Right.
You're not going to get around it. You're not the exception. Well, I hold him. He was all right, but I kind of let him slide on that. No. Not any different than anybody else.
Right.
And we will have to make an account for my life. Mm-hmm. And I hope it turns out at the end better than it started. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I guess it's not how you start; it's how you finish, right? That's what they always say, and I guess that's true.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of bumpy road here. And it hasn't been easy. I mean, you take from the time I grew up till I was saved, and even beyond that, with some of the things that's happened in my life.
Right.
And it's been a tough road. There's been a lot of tragedy in there.
Yeah.
Along the way, and a lot of people might have given up over some of the things I've been through, but man, God's there. He's got it.
Yeah.
That's my foundation for it now. Before, if I suffered before that, I was on my own.
Right.
And that's no place to be. I mean, if you don't have God there, you suffer, and you suffer alone. That is a terrible, terrible place to be.
Yeah, that's why I don't get these people that they go through these tragedies too, and they don't have the support system like a church family.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff that, big things that happen in my life or my family's life that there's no way I would be able to get through it like I did without my church family. Because that church family has the right attitude and direction and answers based upon God, and not like everything else, where they just going to throw you a pill and say, here, take this, and you'll feel better.
I don't know. It just seemed to me like people, I'm coming more around to it, I guess it is. Like I said, it's all a growing process. Sanctification's a lifetime effort. You're going to grow. You hopefully will grow. If you're not growing, you better, start wondering what you're doing or not doing.
Right.
Mainly it's not doing. But I just find it's something that you hunger and hunger and hunger more for this. And that's one problem I had, I guess, after I was saved and I was in church, I was going to church and all this stuff. I got that feeling all the time, being there, and it's like something's missing.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get that feeling down your gut, like this just doesn't right. This is something. Where's the rest of it?
And this is after salvation.
After salvation,
right.
Like where's the rest of this? There's got to be more to this than what I'm seeing, And then come to find out, there's a whole lot more, whole lot more there than what I was seeing or experiencing in that church.
Yeah.
It was very limited.
What kind of advice would you give somebody that's in that position right now, where they're newly saved or they've been saved in a church for a long time? What kind of advice would you give them?
Come over to our side. We'll set straight. Come on over here. That's 900 South. Francis, El Reno, Oklahoma. Come on down. We'll take care of you. That's a plug.
That is good. That's a good plug right there, baby.
That's a good plug right there. But no, I mean, you don't know you're in that position, I think. You come in, you don't know what's going on, really. You really don't have a clue. And this is what people are telling you to do. And so you just accept it that that's the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
When you're not getting the whole story, the full story, you're not getting all of Jesus in all this. You're getting a little bit of this. And so you find out 5 years later, you're still drinking milk here.
Right.
You have no meat. And that's where we need to change. That's where when people come in here, they need to go through the discipleship.
Right.
They need to understand that this is going to cost you everything.
Yeah.
That's what Jesus said. He said, count the cost. Before you do this, sit down and count the cost.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really want to be a Christian? Do you really want to be a disciple? Sit down and count the cost. And if you aren't willing to give up nothing, then you can't be his disciple.
Right. And so you have somebody coming into our church wanting to be a member. Well, everybody goes through some sort of process to basically, one, to show you where we're at as a church, what we believe. One, also, two, to also make sure we're on the same page. And three, to show you scripturally that if you're going to be part of this assembly, you're going to have to give your life. You're going to have to be a servant member.
Right.
You don't come here and how we're gonna bless you. You're not gonna come here and think you're just gonna take over, because we don't have committees here. We don't have any of that stuff here. We're servant members. We are to serve. That's what Jesus. That's what He put. That's how God has revealed that to us through His Word, and that's what we must follow. And when you do that, what you're doing is you're building up the soldiers. You're building up those that are in this warfare together. And again, you're on the same playing field. Unity is a top shelf priority with Jesus.
But you want people that have a desire, that want to be here.
Right, exactly.
Desire to be here, that have that just thirst after this.
Exactly.
What did He say? Blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they will be filled.
Yeah.
Not they might be, but they will be filled.
Mm-hmm.
And as you grow in this, I found a certain peace and joy in it, and I'm not any different than anybody else. I mean, I went through, like I told you before, you can pray all day, not getting peace,
Mm-hmm.
And that's because I didn't have a relationship there. Once that relationship started to develop, and it took time, because I had to learn to trust Him, because my background with my dad and everything, if that's an idea of what a father is, I didn't want any part of it. You know what I mean? And
I understand.
So, it had to come. I had to learn to trust Him in that, and then, we've handled that trust issue. I think, we talked about it. What preacher preached on it for a year.
Yeah. Ruthless trust.
Ruthless trust, and if it comes down to that, let go of it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't keep your hands gripped around it. Open them up. Let them go. Let it
Yeah.
go. I mean,
Yep.
doesn't he not take care of you? Does he not meet your needs? Does he not?
Yeah, he meets our needs, but man, I sure want a lot of stuff.
Well,
You know?
yeah. So do I.
Again, that's back on me. It's selfishness. It's pride.
Yeah,
It's
everybody wants some stuff. I don't care for a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff I'd like to do.
yeah.
I'd go travel places.
Yeah.
I'd go see stuff. That would probably be my greatest enjoyment, to go do that kind of stuff. I used to do that to some extent.
Yeah.
Then I did it around Oklahoma. Went just about every place you could find it.
Yeah, I know. I remember that one year I got with you about having a staycation here with me and my family, and you brought me all that stuff and was explaining all this. And
But there's a lot out there if you go look for it. And there's a lot of it's enjoyable. And this is the thing about adventure, seeking it out, finding new things. It's always good. And same with Christ. Christ's an adventure. We're on an adventure here.
Mm-hmm.
We're learning Him. We're growing in Him. And it should be something that's constantly moving forward with Him.
Yeah.
It's a process. It's a living, breathing thing, this relationship we have with Him. And it's constantly moving forward. It should be moving forward. If you're not, you better, check your pulse.
Yeah.
And see if you're still breathing.
Yeah, no kidding.
For one thing, you got a heartbeat there, So,
Yeah, there's a lot of disconnect with that with believers today, and
but why wouldn't you want it? See, that was my question. I had to ask myself that question. I'm not saying this because I think these people, why don't they ask it? I asked myself that question. Why didn't I want it?
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong here? Because I was in the same position. I'm not talking about something about somebody else. I'm talking about myself here. I was in that same position. I just wanted part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted the good parts, and the other part, I just ignore that.
Yeah.
As long as I can come in here and sit down and enjoy an hour and go home, I was doing just fine, But that's not. And you saw what happened to it. What I saw what happened to it. I wandered off.
Yeah.
And I was gone because, like I said, I had no irons in the fire. I wasn't committed to nothing. And so when I'm talking about this, about people not doing that, I'm actually talking about my own experience.
Mm-hmm.
I went through this, and I'd like to be able to explain that to people. If you're going through this, you can get to this state. You can get to the relationship that you want with Him, but you got to want it.
Mm-hmm.
You got to desire it. And I don't know, after I went through my troubles, He put a desire in me that I used to, I'd blow something off. I got this desire now, for some reason, came out of that. I can't quit. I'm kind of like, after all them people walked off, I'm like, where am I going to go now?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I've seen Him and seen what He's done in my life. And, where could I go from this? There's no place to go but to Him.
Mm-hmm.
Walk towards Him. Head towards Him.
Yeah.
And
you're yourself. You're plugged in so many areas in the ministry here. I mean, you've got you're plugged in our school of ministry, and of course that gets to the nitty gritty of stuff and
Yes.
rewires your spiritual senses and knowledge and all that. We do Bible studies together, and I think you're a big help and servant in like the senior saints, and stuff like that.
Old Timers Club.
The Old Timers Club. I'm not gonna say that.
Yeah, we're a bunch of old timers. In fact, we're going to get together tomorrow. Listen to Brother Sam. Give us a good talking to tomorrow, probably.
And probably have some good fellowship and laugh at Wayne and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's always good. That's always good. No, that's enjoyable right there.
Yeah.
But no, it's. I like doing this. If I could do it 7 days a week, I'd do it.
Yeah.
What else I got to do?
Yeah.
Really, what else I got to
Yeah.
do? This has become. I enjoy this. I like doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not here because I have to be. I'm here because I want to be.
Yeah.
I enjoy this, and that's a big change. I think other times back when I first started, I felt obligated to be there. Well, I got to be there. If I don't, I'll get a phone call. Where are you, Sandy?
Yeah.
But now, Tim calls up. I haven't been there. I just don't answer.
You're like, screening that call.
It's Tim,
Yeah.
No, but generally, it's a legitimate reason.
Right.
It just didn't because I didn't feel like it. there's usually something wrong with me. Well, there's something wrong with me, period.
Right.
There's nothing new about that. There's always been something wrong with me. Although, I don't know, they had me tested. They said I was about as sane as you can get. After I went through my troubles,
no.
make sure everything was all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said, man, that psychology, that's just goofball science, man. I mean, I'm crazy as a loon. What's he talking about? I'm as sane as a man can get. You know what he's talking about.
That's correct.
If I'm sane, everybody else in bad trouble, man.
Oh, man.
Crazy. Yeah, I guess I am. I think they had a room for me down there at, what's that thing down there at Norman? I can't think of the name of the place right now. It's like Griffin Memorial.
Okay.
It's better known as the insane asylum.
Oh, put you in a straitjacket,
The
huh?
state nut house is what that is. Yeah. So, we're not allowed to call them that.
That's
But it's still the insane asylum.
Yeah.
You know. But anyway, I guess I'm all right. But I enjoy this. I really do. You know, it's a joy to do this. It's a joy to sit here and talk with you every time we get together. And you know, I enjoy this stuff. So it's not anything I have to. Well, I got to go down there today. You know.
Mm-hmm. You
know,
have a true desire.
I got to get up this morning and go to church. You know, man, I got to go down there again. Oh, man. Sing the same old 3 songs, you know. Listen to the same old story. Tell me how bad I am, you know.
Yeah.
I know I'm bad. But no, it's the attitude. It does come down to it. But there's got to be a desire for it. I mean, you're either all in, I guess, or you're not in. I want to be all in, you know.
Yeah.
It's still work. I mean, that's a lot of stuff for me still got to die off. It's got to be done away with. And I didn't really realize till I asked the Lord about that, you know, about help me die to self, just how much self is had and really involved in this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got a lot of capital in self in this in all areas of my life, you know.
Yeah.
You know, when you start, self don't like you giving it up either, you know. It will fight back at you.
Oh, for sure.
And the old devil, he likes to get his punches in there too, you know. You know, telling you, hey, you don't want to give that up. Now, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. Come on, this is better.
You know, this is all right. This one don't matter. It don't matter. But if it involves self, yeah, it does. You know.
Yeah, most definitely.
But we don't want to give it up. I mean, you know, the old saying, "What do unto others, what are they do unto you?"
Oh man.
You know, you come from that kind of background. You know, that's,
yeah.
That's pretty selfish there.
Well, you know, I would like to ask our listeners that if they're struggling with something like this, we would love to hear their story. So email us at coffeewithphilandjim@gmail.com. That's coffeewithphilandjim@gmail.com. Email us your story. Tell us what you're struggling with, what's going on. Maybe even just tell us a story, how God has brought you out of whatever fog you've been in, what kind of growth process you've gone through. And let us know. We'd like to hear your deal, and you know, maybe we'll share that on some future episodes, and obviously keep it anonymous, but and share that. I think that would also bring some reality to our listeners, the other believers out there in the churches and stuff like that. Bring some reality of what's really happening around.
It's okay to talk about this.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're going to grow, we need to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid. I mean, we're all a mess. Every one of us is a mess in practically every area, you know.
Yeah.
There's no one perfect in this group. We all have it. We all deal with the same issues, same problems and everything.
Yeah.
Because this isn't easy. I mean, because itself is involved, and we're in a fallen world, and we are who we are. And that let's come together and let's work through these things together, and hopefully, we'll come out the other side better. I mean, Christ is the one in charge, and He will, but through His Holy Spirit, will make those changes in you. You can't change yourself. You know, it's all the Holy Spirit. If it ain't changing me, it's all Him. It's not me.
Right.
You know, I haven't done anything. You know, I ain't got the power to do anything. So if it ain't changing me, it's all Him. It never was me.
But you have surrendered to it, so that change can happen.
I understand that if it's going to happen, it's got to be Him. I first started out, I tried to change myself. Well, you know how that went.
Yeah.
Boom, and it all blew up. Every time you did it, well, I'll just do this time. Well, that didn't work either.
Mm-hmm.
So you can be out there trying to change yourself left and right. It won't work. It's his job to change it. See, we don't understand. It's his job to change us because we can't.
Right.
If we could change ourselves, we wouldn't need him.
Wow.
I mean,
That's a great, man, that's a great thing to think about.
Yeah, because, if we could actually truly change ourselves, we wouldn't need him. He wouldn't have sent us a helper. We could do this on our own,
Mm-hmm.
read the word, a couple prayers, and, man, I'm good to go. I got this, If we could change ourselves, we wouldn't need it. But we do need it.
Yeah.
And we're dependent on it. And we're supposed to be dependent on it because that's our lifeline.
Yeah.
And we were made to be connected to God. That's what he created us for. He's our lifeline, and the only way we're going to have life and have it eternal is if we are connected to him.
Right.
But we cut the cord all the time when we should stay attached to it. We need to stay attached to that vine. What's that vine he talked about? Mm-hmm. Who is the vine? We're just a branch out here.
Wow.
That's our lifeline.
Well, Jimmy Nick, I don't think we can go past that right now.
Well, I don't know. We might go 2 or 3 more hours there.
Yeah, we definitely could.
We could, but we're not. I got cookies cooking in the oven at home. Oh, man, that was a long time ago.
They're burnt now.
Oh, man, I had enough Crispies. Okay, I think somebody else is coming up to the old microphone here in a second.
I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. What a glorious feeling, I'm happy again.
Yeah.
I'm laughing at clouds so dark up above. The sun's in my heart and I'm ready for love. Let the stormy clouds chase everyone from the place. Come on with the rain, I've a smile on my face. I walk
Well, thank you, Gene Kelly, for that,
with a happy
because we will sing in the rain.
just singing in the rain.
All right. Gene Kelly, the legendary Gene Kelly. Nothing like a good show tune once in a while.
There you go. Especially in our episode here. And so until next time, listeners, this is Phil.
And this is Jimmy Nix, and we are truly blessed.
Good night and happy trails.